this week's Timeout Tuesday. On this week's Timeout Tuesday, we're going to do the Tube Tech Tidbits. I have 3 or 4 things that I'm ready to bring to you, and they're nothing major, but just little things that'll help you along the way. We're taking a break on the troubleshooting just for a minute. We finished up our last week on a troubleshooting on a Timeout Tuesday, and we had a big catastrophe right at the end. And I don't even know if I have that on the end of that video or not. I can't remember. But we had a big sparking that took place. Well, in my investigations of that, we had some issues, and so I'm going to have time to compile all that together. And then after we get done with this tidbit video, the week after that, I'll maybe try to get all that put together for you, and that'll give me time to get my correction put back into place. So I'm kind of trying to stall here, so I'm going to put a few Tube Tech tidbits in, and that'll help you to get better, and it'll buy me a little time to get what I need to get in here. All right, I thank you guys for watching today. I hope you enjoy this. I just wanted to tell you all that I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me so far. If you can look back here, and gosh, my hair's sticking up. When you look back here, that tree right there left all its debris in my pool out there. We had all them storms come through, like real high winds. I mean, we at one time said there was like 100-mile-an-hour wind, and but it was really bad, and it blew limbs and trees. We got all the worst out of there, but I got a vacuum of my pool now because it's got a bunch of stuff in it. But anyway, this tech tip, the Tube Radio Tech Tips, Tidbits. I'll get it out. I get tickled myself. Can't say stuff. But anyway, it's a fun thing to do, and I just wanted to share a few more things with you. As I get them, I'll try to stop and have that little intermission in there for you, and maybe just make you a little bit better person. And that's my goal for everybody, is to try to do that. I hope that you guys fared well through all this period of rain here. It's right now when I'm filming this, it's I don't even know what today's date is. I want to say the 15th or something like in there. And so August the 15th. So you probably won't get this for a few more weeks. Maybe be September before you get it. All right, thank you guys for watching. Bye. Well, hello, and today we are going to be working on just a few little things. It will be a short video, but I wanted to bring out just a few more tech tips. This is a Timeout Tuesday's Tube Radio Tech Tidbits, and these little tidbits are nothing major. I'm not a theorist. I'm not somebody that can do that, but I just show you some basic things. This is absolutely for the beginner, but there are times when you have to calculate different things in your radio, and you need to know, or if you're just troubleshooting a problem, you need to know how much current you got going through your circuit that you're looking at, the problem circuit that you have. You might have a circuit that has a problem, I'm trying to say it, and you're trying to figure out, well, what's my current through there. If you got real high current, that's sometimes a bad thing. And so if you have high current, you're going to try to verify, do you have high current or do you not have high current? And so that's kind of what this is about. It was real quick, just a few minutes, but I want to show you this, how to come up with that. So the easiest way for me, and there are 100 other ways to do this, I don't really, I just want you to pick up on the easy way right now, okay? This is for the beginner. Find you in that circuit, wherever you, let me grab a schematic. I should have had that out here. Wherever you have, okay, one more thing is my pointer. Never have everything ready. But let's just say for fun that, you want to find out what current's going through this circuit right here, and where these resistors. Well, find you a resistor, because that's the best way to try to calculate this. And let's just pretend that that resistor is this resistor right here, okay? And so you take your meter and you put it up on ohms, and you put it down here and clip it on either side of that resistor, okay? And it tells you what the value of that resistor is. It's telling me that resistor is 209.9, okay? So now I know the resistance of that resistor, and so whatever this resistor was right here, if we wanted to know this circuit, that we'd know that value of that resistor. Now you're going to keep that thing clamped on the same spot, and then you're going to flip it over here and do your DC on there, and then we're going to hook power to this. Let's pretend we got power to it, and you're going to get a voltage across here, because you want to know your voltage on that same reading area, okay? And so and when you measure from one side of the resistor to the other side of the resistor for voltage on the DC, and it gives you a volts, that's how much voltage drop you're getting on across this resistor. That means from this side of that resistor, if it says 60 volts, all right, then you're getting a 60 volt voltage drop from, say you're coming in here at 270, it's going to drop 60 volts, so it's going to be 210 on this side on your voltage. But that's all for this calculation. All you got to know is that voltage drop amount. So whenever you clamp on either side of a resistor in a DC mode, you're going to be picking up on the voltage, and that voltage, it'd be, 50, 60, 80, I've seen them drop a lot more than that or a lot less than that. Depends on how much current you do have going through there. But anyway, whatever that voltage drop is what you want to do. So now you got two parts of this formula up here, and here's how you figure the current. And there's what your actual things are called, but I like to call them this up here. So current equals voltage divided by resistance. So all you do is take that 60 volts and divide it by my resistance of 209. Was that 209, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was. 209. All right, so then you would take your calculator, which I'm not going to do. Do I have a calculator in here? I don't think I do. Hold on, I got a calculator. Now, I'm making up these numbers, so I don't know what this will come out at. All right, but get where we can see this. So we're doing our voltage, so it's 60 volts divided by 209 equals, that means I have a 0.28, and you can carry it out as far as you want, but 0.28, let's say 7, of current is I have going through there. So I have 287 milliamps of current going through that circuit if that was 60 volt reading on that. And then you would know, whether you got too high of a current coming out of there and too low of a current coming out of there. Now, I run into this a lot of times. When you first fire up a radio, and a lot of radios tell you what you should be getting, where it comes off of there and gets ready to go into the speaker field. It usually sometimes it'll tell you what voltage you should be seeing, like 240 or whatever. But a lot of times you'll be getting either way higher voltage that comes out right here that goes into that can dome, or way lower voltage coming out the end of that can dome. Well, depending on that, this helps you to troubleshoot, I guess what I'm trying to say, is if you're getting way too high voltage coming out of there, that means that something is wrong in your chain here, and what it's doing is when you have the high voltage, it's damming up this voltage coming out of the rectifier tube. And it's like a dam, and it dams it up, so you're just going to build up your voltage way too high. If it's too low, somebody broke your dam somewhere. So you got to follow down line, and you start disconnecting one at a time out through here from that power source, kind of like we did on our troubleshooting for power. And we find out at what point do I get my voltage back right coming out of that rectifier tube to where your voltage is not, Now, if you disconnect everything and it's still too high, then there's something going on in a transformer. But if you disconnect the right one, it's going to let your voltage stabilize back coming out of there if there's nothing wrong in the transformer. And you're going to find out that it's whichever wire is connected in there that's causing that problem. Then you just start tracing down that chain till you find out who your troubleshooter or trouble problem is. But to do that, you kind of need to know what current you're showing there, because, if you're getting those different voltages like that, it's good to know that current. And then there's a lot of other calculations you use the current in, like plate dissipation, and there's just so many other calculations that you need to know that current mainly in troubleshooting, but there's so many other things, and it all ties into troubleshooting because you need to know all this information to help you to be a better radio tech person. And I know this is real, I mean, this is like beginner stuff right here, but if you don't get this down, if you're brand new and you're just turning this on or whatever, you need to know this is a calculation that you need to do, and that's how you do it. You measure across, keep your leads the same spot, measure your voltage or measure your resistance, and then turn your radio on or whatever and measure your voltage across there, and then do this mathematical equation. Okay, that's it for this particular one. I got 3 more. All right, this next segment has to do with alignment tools. There's a lot of different alignment tools out there. It depends on what you like to work on. I'll say that first. If you're into the All-American 5 radios and stuff, you're going to need the smaller stuff, and sometimes you'll need these that have the little open and square end. You can't hardly tell that in this camera. I don't know if I can even, because the thing is so I can get that focused. See, it's got a little square hole, but it's not external, it's internal. And then this end has like a little I don't know. Anyway, bottom line is I hardly ever use that because I never work on those radios. I'm not into the All-American 5 type radios. I'm not into the newer 60s radios. Also, a lot of those radios use these little cheapo plastic ones. I hate these. But sometimes you got to use them, and they're real weak, real flimsy. And this part right here usually bends or breaks off. Sometimes if your tool, you sometimes have the little octagon end that has to sit down in something, but so there's just times you need them. So I keep them on there, and truthfully, with the work that I do, I never use these unless somebody brings them to me, you know, a radio that they want worked on that's in that age group. And I told you guys way back in the beginning, I will do a couple All-American 5s just to show you how series strung stuff goes and that. And maybe we'll get lucky and run into some silver mica disease, because that's where you see a lot of that. And I'll show you how to do that, because you do need to know it. But like I say, you're not probably going to see much of that on this channel. I ain't going to lie to you. I use these a lot. And what I did is I bought a set of these. They're hard plastic, but they have a metal. Boy, this thing's not focusing right today. Why is it not focusing? It has a metal insert on the end. Anyway, there's different sizes of them. I use this one mostly. It fits most of the sizes I need. Some of them are inset and some of them stick out. But this pretty much encompasses most of what I do. I love this little guy. He works with me a lot. Here's another one. But this one had a little flimsy end. Maybe am I at the wrong focus? I usually don't have that big problem with this thing focusing. But so you can see how the end of this is already twisting. I like the size of it and everything, but you know, that one twists a little bit. And then I got my big hard plastic one, because there's times when you got to put this, you got a wider blade or slot in your thing you're trying to line, and sometimes you just need to be able to put some pressure. And then I hate to tell you, and you're probably gonna, you perfect guys are not gonna like this, but every once in a while you got to use this guy. Because sometimes those are real bad, and a lot of radios I get are like that, are real bad, rusty, and all those alignment ports are rusted shut. Well, you got to break him free from this, and you got to get that in there. And that's why you always wonder, why is he got that thing around the end? Because when I'm down there doing alignment, I can slide my shrink tubing down, and because there's usually a high voltage right there present, and that way I can slide it down so this don't, the side of this here don't short out against the side of the hole that you're in. And you don't want to short that out, because it's also going to mess up your alignment too. And that's why these are inside plastic things too, so it doesn't short that out. But I just put that on there, and then when I'm using it as a screwdriver, I just pull this up back out of the way. And it seemed to be a pretty smart move on my part. So anyway, there are a lot of times you're going to need this to break it free first before you go into that full alignment. There are times when you have to use this all the time. I don't know why it won't let you use any of these other ones, and you have to use it. And so you're going to have to create a screwdriver that does that kind of thing for you, about that size. And this is what I use mainly to try to get alignment done. And for the most part, I've gotten where I've gotten pretty good at it. But I use these little black guys 99% of the time. And that's how I do an alignment. And, I've shown you a few times, and we keep doing alignments on these radios, you'll get that. I'm not an expert on alignment. I'm not an expert on oscilloscope. I am getting pretty good on that. That's my signal generator. But alignments are part of the process, and you got to kind of learn them. And so there's that one. Now the next one, we're going to take a little road trip out in my garage, and you guys have to forgive me on my garage. There are going to be parts of this you can't see because my garage is so full. I have got so many customer radios waiting in line out there. You're just going to be able to see pieces and parts. So before we go out there, I want to just give you that disclaimer. And also, there are 2 or 3 spots out there where I keep my stuff, but I have tubes everywhere. I'm gonna go into a little bit in tubes. I'm not gonna go into what tube does what and all that. I'm not gonna do that. Not gonna happen. But I'm gonna go into a little bit more of the things that keep you, if you're gonna starting out on this, from wasting a lot of money out on the internet like I did when I first started. All right, so let's go out there. What I did is you can buy these. I'm gonna just go over tubes just a little bit. Nothing major. I buy these white boxes online. Now they're a little pricey. I just buy a few at a time. And I've just been building on this collection here. And the only thing I'm going to say is that this is only for if you're into the same genre that I'm into, okay? Because, if you're into All-American 5 all the time, some of these will cross over, but a lot of these might not. Some of these smaller ones up here might, but a lot of these might not cross over into the All-American 5. All-American 5 has usually the smaller tubes inside of it. But to let you know, I can't show you, but down under there, I have, in this white cabinets, I have boxes and boxes. Those are all full of tubes. And they're full of more like the All-American 5 type tubes. Also, the rack, which you can't even see right now because I got stuff piled up in front of it. But back, I don't know if you can see it back in there. This is a full 7-foot rack right here, top to bottom, filled with tubes, and those are all the All-American 5 type tubes too. So if I ever work on somebody's All-American 5, I've got tubes, so we're good there. All right. But the ones, if you're into that genre, the Transformer sets from the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s, this is kind of what you're going to need. All right. And I set mine up to where I kind of have it not exactly, because it was hard to do, but the lower numbers on this side to the higher numbers on that side. Like I got my 80 rectifier tubes on that end. And I got my 5-volt tubes down here on my rectifier tubes here, but I kind of increased it as we went across, and there's a lot of variations to that. And there's some shelves that are in a category of themselves. But for me to come out here and grab something, it makes it real easy. 6K7, but I'm going to pull one of these out of here because I want you to see the sizes, because that's what gets everybody on the internet. They see a whole box of tubes for $50 or whatever, and they'll buy the whole box. And they'll find out that maybe 2 or 3 tubes in that whole box is the only thing they can use in what they've been working on. And the rest of them are unusable for what they're doing, and they end up either throwing them away or giving them away. I'm going to pull one of these tubes out of here. Try to get a few of these variations of it so you can kind of see see these sizes. Okay. And I'll just get one of these. All right, in the old tubes, they had the globe tubes like this. And this is, you know, like in your 20s and 30s sets, you'll see a lot of these globe tubes. They're good. If you see those in any kind of box that you're getting, I'd go ahead and get it because those are getting to be worth a lot of money. And then the sets that I work on mostly have these kind of tubes. The output tubes and the rectifier tubes are good sized tubes. Look at that in my hand, how big that is. This is a 24A. I got that in the wrong spot. What? Had that 80 bucks. Huh. That goes down here with my 24s. But an 80 rectifier is good size. 5Z3 is good size. 5Y4 is good size. All those are large tubes that you use in the sets, like the old Zenith sets and that kind of like that. And then a lot of their supporting tubes in those same years are about this size. And compare that to the size, because here's what you'll see in most of these things that they sell on the internet, is these size. And of course you can tell because they got the real thin little pins, you know what I mean? And these got the big thick pins. These will have anywhere from 4 to, 8 pins on these, the size that we use all the time. But then these, like this, you'll find all this kind, like a lot of them in the All-American 5 type radios, and all those 60s and later sets that a lot of them go transformerless and stuff. But they'll have this kind of tube in it. And so what I do is I pay attention to the boxes now. And then there's that middle size, which I didn't pull one out because they're buried down in this box. I don't know if I can get one out or not. If I can get one. Just one would help. This might not be one. It's wrong. That's a bad example. I'm doing good. I'm trying to reach down this box and get one, and I can't even get one out. This right here. You'll see this size of tube, and you just kind of see the difference in it, compared to this and this. And I'm not saying that these old radios don't have some of these, but it'll have like maybe like a 6S. It's like, here's one, 12SQ7. It'll have an extra letter in there. And basically, these are for the newer radios and a lot of the All-American 5. That they use a lot of those. And those right there is something that are going to be filled in those boxes you buy. And to me, unless you're now if you're into that stuff, go for it, Well, here's the other kicker, though. And I'm going to put some of this back so don't forget where it goes. But the other kicker, and this is what I wanted to go over this with for save you some money, is most of the time when you buy a big old, I want to show you one more thing. Also, I keep a pile of these. These are in those later models too, but a lot of the old Zeniths and a lot of different ones carry these. Every once in a while, they'll have the old 7-volt tubes in here that operate on the 6.3, and you'll see a lot of them in there. So I keep a tub of those ones that have they'll be shaped like this, but they'll have the what they call the lock door where it locks in, and I keep that. Matter of fact, I keep a lot of stuff. I got a lot of parts. I got potentiometers out the yazoo. But anyway, you'll get a whole box of these tubes, and 80% of what's in that box, and I'm not lying, 80% of that will be TV tubes. And this what'll save you a ton of money, is because when you buy them, especially if you see one in an old, see how I got an old Zenith box right here, like those kind of boxes that have the old tube boxes, they'll be loaded up. Most of those will be TV tubes, just telling you. So you want to be real careful unless you're into TVs. Now, if you are into TVs, then go for it. But personally, I knocked something off back there. I was trying to see what I knocked off. Oh, just my water bottle. Anyway, but if you're into buying TV tubes, then go for it. But I'm gonna say, almost, I don't know. Every time I bought one of those that are full of tubes, it's all TV tubes. I assume that was a lot of people were big into that back then or whatever. I don't know. But what I do know is that I didn't need them. And so I took 10 boxes up to the local thrift shop here. The guy, he sells all my stuff I don't want. and he's got boxes and boxes of these tubes that are back when I first started this stuff that I bought, and he still can't sell them. Like they're sitting up there, and I think he's got a quarter a piece or something on them, but he can't sell them because there's not too many people working on antique and vintage TVs anymore, including me. I don't like doing it. I don't like messing with the TVs. I guess I'm happy enough with the 600, 700 volts I'm dealing with, let alone getting up in the 14, 15,000 volts. I'm totally happy with not doing it, and plus I don't get any satisfaction out of it. I don't know why. I don't get satisfaction out of the All American 5, and I don't get satisfaction out of the TV stuff. I don't get satisfaction out of the phonograph stuff either. Other people want me to work on their phonograph, and I don't do it. It's all mechanical. It's nothing electrical. Well, it's not nothing, but it mainly leans on mechanical problems. If your phonograph on your antique radio is not working, it's more mechanical problems than it is anything. I don't get into fixing that because it doesn't use my brain. I like the electrical side because it forces you to think, and that's what I like about it. I don't like the All American 5 because there's just 1,000 reasons. I'm not even going to go into them all. Maybe when I actually do the All American 5, I'll do you a couple of those, and then when I do that, then I'll maybe air my grievances. And it's not that they're good little radios. It's just, I don't know. They're just a dime a dozen. And I will tell you this: if somebody gives you an old radio and you decide it's junk and there's no way fixing it, it's beyond fixing or whatever, don't just throw that thing out in the trash. Because, my brother-in-law gave me those 8 radios that I tried to give away to you guys, and nobody went for them. So I parted them out, and what you'll find in there is on one of those little tiny tubes that you get in there. I pulled the tubes, and they have a tube called a 12AX7, and that tube is getting really, 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 really coveted by the old tube amplifier guys, and they're going for good money. And I went through all those radios, and I found like 4 of those 12AX7s in there, and I found some other ones that are good for the All American 5, so I pulled them out too. I pulled out little 4-inch speakers out of there because there are times when you're repairing an All American 5 and it needs a new little 4-inch speaker. So I saved those, and I've got a whole collection. All those tubs down there are full of speakers. And I got some very rare and expensive speakers too. But those are all full of speakers. And I pull those speakers out. I pull the potentiometers out because most of them can be reused even in the radios I work on. So don't just throw one of them away. If you get a 60s Zenith or something like that, and it can't be repaired. Now I'm saying I believe in fixing them if you can. All the ones he gave me were way, way beyond that. I told him he has an auction house, try to take him there and get rid of them for $10. He couldn't even get rid of them for $10, so he gave them to me. And I parted them out, and I got a ton of good little parts out of there. I pulled a Magic Eye tube out of one of them. These are all my Magic Eyes down here. And it has a little green light that closes and opens depending on where you're at on your stations. And they're going for, $25, $30 a piece now. I found one of them in there. So it was very, very helpful. But I just want to let you know that when you see this stuff out on Marketplace and you see a whole box of tubes, 90% of the time, that's going to be all TV tubes. And if you're into TVs, go for it. If you're not, but you got to look in that box. You got to look at your pictures really good. And if it's the bigger type tubes like these, they will help you out and they're worth the buy. If you see all those little 9-pin tubes, if you're into All-American 5, just start looking at the numbers. It's going to be little 6-volt tubes, 6 BE6. I can't remember all the numbers on those, but there'll be little 6 volts and 12-volt tubes in those All-American 5s. And if you see the other odd number voltage tubes, it's going to be TV tubes. And that's always your first number on your thing. Like that's a 6-volt right there, and that's a 5-volt. It's always your first number. Okay. All right. I hope I haven't bored you to death with this. It's just a few little things to add to our tech tips. And I ended up I didn't realize I went through the other thing I was going to talk about in the same video I did on the first part of this video. I was going to talk a little bit more about voltage drop, but you have to learn voltage drop all the way through that radio because you need to know how much voltage you're dropping in each area to see whether you're going to get the right voltage at your different spots in the radio, like your plates or wherever you're trying to get whatever voltage to. You need to be able to know how to calculate that, but that's how you do that. All right, hope you enjoyed this, and I'll keep adding to it. Now, the numbering is probably going to get off on this. I don't know. I think this will be video 3. Yeah, it probably will be. All right, and someday, while I'm out here, I'll just tell you this part too. Someday, I am going to get back to this Seaberg. I done all this on Facebook. And what stalled me is all this piece right here is all broke out. And I had a guy remake, he made me one of these. He made the whole thing. But I got to get all this fixed back in here because something hit it and it was all smashed and the glass was broke. And he rebuilt the other side of this just beautifully. So I was stalled out on it because I was waiting for that to get done. I've got that back. I've got it done. And then I also got all my new light bulbs for this. And anyway, I hadn't had time to get back to it. I had already cleaned down in there. I'm going to have to re-clean it all now because it's been sitting for a year. I had it playing, and it just needs a little bit more lubrication because it was sticking up. And then I got to get the right kind of music in there. I still haven't done all the other parts are laying back here in this corner back there in that hole. And I got to get all them finished cleaning. I had all the chrome cleaned up. I'd taken out all the bottom part of that and got there's 2 10-inch speakers down in there, believe it or not. And so that being said, someday I'm going to have a video sequence on that. And I think that'll be a fun one. We can get that jukebox back up and going. My goal for that is to get us a Bluetooth dongle hooked in there onto the phono side. And I'm going to have it where it can Bluetooth out. Basically, we can Bluetooth music into this and bypass the jukebox part and Bluetooth in through the amp and play music out through this jukebox because it sounds so sweet. I had pushed it to the door when I had it going way back then, and I blowed it out for my neighbors for a while, and I got good neighbors. And I blasted them some old, whatever music was in those records, 45s. They got to hear a bunch of it. And they were all clapping over there. But it was loud. It was loud enough to take out the whole neighborhood. So I want to get a Bluetooth dongle put in there so I can Bluetooth my music out of my little Seaberg 1963, I think. Jukebox. And I got most of the stuff electrically is all done, and I got most of the stuff underneath them, but we still got a long ways to go with it. But that would be a nice video to finish that up and have it documented on YouTube. All right, thank you guys for everything you do. Bye bye. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that did you some good. Look, just nothing major, nothing to write home about, but just little things that'll help you along the way, and I'm trying to just keep adding to your arsenal of stuff that took me a long time to try to dig up, and you know, like I say, if I can get it all compiled here on this channel for you, it'll help you to be a better person and to be a better radio person. I don't claim to be an expert. I never have claimed to be an expert, and as you can see on the part number 5 troubleshooting video, I admit that there's certain areas that I know nothing about, to be honest with you. I mean, I know of it, but I don't know how it works. I don't know how to tell you how it works. I am not an expert, and matter of fact, I'm probably what they would call a novice, and I'm, you know, not in a position to teach theory. But I'm not here for the people who are more advanced. I'm here for those people who just starting out and don't know anything, and I do know a lot more than those people. And I'm trying to share everything that I know up to the point. And when they catch up with me, they'll probably get bored with this channel and go on to the bigger guys. But I'm trying to help you get there so you don't have to look at 50 million different websites on YouTube, or different pages, I mean, and try to figure out and compile all that together. I'm trying to consolidate all that together for you. That's my motive, all right? So I thank you guys for watching. I hope that you will share it with your friends, and let everybody know to, if you're wanting to learn about radios, get on here and subscribe. Thank you. I just want to close out all my videos with this right here. This is my my motto, and it's going to be our channel motto from now on. It's sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. We don't ever want to lose. We want to learn from every mistake we made. I thank you guys for watching.